Hi guys! So I decided today that I would do story time about my husband having cancer and when and how we found out and the process that we went through as far as treatment and that sort of thing goes. This is probably going to be a long video, so it's going to have to be cut up into two parts. So just bear with me as I figure all that out, and it might be mashed up because it was such a long process which I'm going to get into. So just bear with me as I try to remember and go through how we found this out. So this goes back quite a few years before we even moved here where we're at now, and my husband was having some health issues, but nothing that caused us any concern. He was just very tired a lot of the time, and that was about it. Like the biggest symptom he had was that he was very tired, and I can't remember if he had found. Oh, I think it was he went for one of his physicals. That's what had happened, and they had found something in his lungs or in his chest, and they said they thought that it was something called sarcoidosis, and so they said which would explain this mass and would also explain why he feels so tired and run down. So they said they're going to keep an eye on this mass. If it continues to grow, then they're going to have to do a biopsy. But they didn't really want to do a biopsy because it was in his chest, and if something goes wrong, then they would have to crack his chest open, and it would become this big procedure. So they said, for now, we'll just keep an eye on it, and you can come back in a few months, and we'll see if it has grown. So he did that. He went back, and it had grown. It hadn't grown a huge amount, but there was a difference in the size. And they said the same thing. Well, it's only grown a little bit, so we'll just wait again, bring you back, and see if it's grown again. And if it has, then we'll do a biopsy on this, but we really don't want to. So again, we waited. He goes back in, and same thing happened. It had still grown, and again, not a crazy amount, but they had noticed that it was a bit bigger, and they said the same thing. Oh, it wasn't that big of a deal. It's not that big of a mass, or there wasn't that big of a change in it. So we'll just say that it's this sarcoidosis, which I can never pronounce properly, and leave it at that. We'll just, I guess they figured they'd still keep an eye on it, whatever. So then we moved down here, and it took us a while to get where we're at now. It took us a while to get a family doctor. So once we did get a family doctor, and my husband went in to see him, I think it was for another physical, and he was looking at his chart, and he wanted to know about this thing in his chest and what had gone on with that. So my husband explained to him what they had done and what they had said, and he said that is not acceptable at all. He said there's another growth down by his groin, I think it was, or his lymph node was enlarged in his groin. Anyway, the doctor was not impressed at all. He immediately got on the phone, called our other doctor, who was the specialist that had seen Paul before, and wanted to know what was going on, why they hadn't done anything, and hadn't done further testing to see what was going on with him. And so he got my husband in right away and done some tests. And he said, we need to do a biopsy. We're going to do a biopsy of a lymph node in your groin and see what's going on. And he said to him, he said he thinks it's cancer. Right from the get-go, our new doctor that we got here said, this isn't good. And that's what his diagnosis is. He said, now, I want to get you guys worked up. You know, like, it could be something else. It could just be what they thought it was, but it needs to be checked out. So my husband went in and he had a biopsy done on his lymph nodes and his groin, and which put him off work for, I think it was off work then for about a month maybe while that healed. And then we got the call to go in to see a doctor when the test came back in. Now, the growth that they had taken out at that point was quite large to do the biopsy on. So anyway, so then we get the call to go in to see our family doctor, and sat down with him, and he said, he confirmed that it was in fact cancer. And now he had to do a few more tests, I think, at that point to find out exactly what was going on. But where it was in his lymph nodes, it's definitely not good. I mean, no cancer's good, but I mean, obviously there's different varieties and whatever. So he said, we're going to do more tests, but he thinks it is lymphatic cancer. So he said, now we just got to find out exactly what type it is and then move on to treatment. So at this point we were kind of prepared, like, because the doctor had said that, you know, he felt that that's what it was. And Paul at this point had felt that that's what it was too. And like I said, he didn't have any other symptoms. He wasn't sick. The only thing with him was that he was tired. And we had chalked that up to his job being very demanding, the fact that we had a new baby, and, you know, you're just tired from life. And, you know, he was overweight, and it just made sense that he was tired. I mean, everybody's tired. So that was his biggest, that was his only symptom. So, so we did some more testing, and we found out that he had mantle B cell non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. So right off, the non-Hodgkin's lymphoma is common, but it's common for an older age range. So typically you see that in like 60-year-olds and older. And my husband at the time was 45. Yeah. So right away that was, you know, quite odd that he would have it at such a young age. And then, and also the amount, so when they did the testing, he had it all through his lymphatic system. All his lymph nodes were enlarged, and he was asymptomatic, which means that he didn't really have any symptoms, which was, again, very odd because of how big the cancer was in his lymph nodes. So we get referred to the cancer specialist, and we get in there really fast. So thankful for our doctor that we had at the time, because he's gone now, unfortunately. But he really got us in, got my husband in very fast. So we get to see the cancer specialist, and they we walk in, and she was so shocked to see my husband walk in and be as big and healthy as he was. She said for what he had, for the size and the amount, like I said, it was all through his lymphatic system. She said she was expecting to see somebody extremely, extremely sick come in and to start treatment right away. And when he walked in, she didn't know what to do. She was not expecting this big, strong man to walk in. So we're sitting there talking to her, and she had expressed this to us, like just how shocked she was at how, you know, good health he was in. And she said, okay, well, because you're asymptomatic, she said, we have some choices. So she said, we can either, she said, in her opinion, or what she would do, was that she would hold off on doing treatment and just have him come back later. And to me, I was so mad at that. I couldn't believe that they would say that. Because he was asymptomatic, they thought, well, why do anything just yet? And in my mind, I said to my husband and to the doctor, I said, why would we wait? What is the point? We know he has it. We know how bad it is. What, are we going to wait until it gets worse? Until we come back in, you say, oh, there's nothing we can do? Or wait until he's too sick to deal with the chemo? Like I said, right now he's big, he's strong. His body can handle the chemo because he's going to have intense chemo. And I said, why would we wait until he's too sick to deal with, for his body to handle chemo? Like, it just didn't make any sense to me. And it made me so mad that they would even suggest that. You know, like, I figured they would have said, you know, let's get this done. Like, you know, let's beat this now before it becomes worse. But yeah, no, let's wait. And I was like, no, we're going to start this now. We're going to take care of this now. While he's healthy, big and strong, we can fight this now. We are not waiting. My husband agreed with that. So we decided that we'll start chemo right away, as soon as we can. So I'm going to stop the video right here because my time is going to run out, and then I'll just start recording again for the part 2. So we'll see you guys in 1 sec. You won't even know the difference.